Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's guest is Cheri Carandanis, and today's episode, how one nurse turned a military career into art.
But it's a great place for me to land my stories and land my emotions. And I think that resonates with people because people want that humanity back. They want that human touch and that high touch experience. So I think that's what resonates with my art.
Break free and come feel the sun with the Nurse Shark Academy. Nurses, are you ready to break free from the grind and build something of your own? It's time to take your skills beyond the bedside and step into entrepreneurship. Join our webinar, Break Free, the Nurse's Path to Entrepreneurship, where you'll learn how to shift your mindset, explore your nurse-owned business ideas, and get the exact steps to launch your own business. This is your time to take control of your career and create a future you love. Seats are limited, so grab yours now. Break free and join the Nurse Shark Academy at thenursesharkacademy.biz. Hello and welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host of Nurse Shark Academy show, highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We have today our guest, let me get this right, Cheri Carandanis.
Perfect.
All right. Hey, you know what? I've had people from all over the world. And so this is one of the reasons why I have people spell their name phonetically for me, because there's sometimes I will mess it up. Given my own devices, I will mess up my own name. So I try to be very respectful for other people's names. So I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I'm excited to talk to you because Cheri is a nurse, an entrepreneur, and also an artist. And so there's a lot that I want to dive into that and learn more about your art. And of course, you know, we're going to want some pictures or something so we can put it with your show notes. But let's get to the first thing of what made you become a nurse?
You know, I grew up thinking I was going to be a doctor. I think I was probably told I was going to be a doctor. And so then I just fell in line and started preparing to be a doctor. And I studied hard. I went to college and it was my sophomore year. And I went to a Christian university and I was sitting in chapel one day and just something hit me. And this question came up is, do you want to be married to medicine?
Now, wait, first of all, I have to stop you. What Christian university did you go to?
Oral Roberts University.
Oral Roberts. Okay, so I went to Christian University as well. So I went to Taylor University, and you are one of our biggest rivals.
That's so funny. Oh, are you? Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I sat there and I thought, do I want to be married to medicine? What does that even mean? And then what I realized about that question that my subconscious presented to me was, I know myself. I know that if I had become a physician, I would be married to medicine. I would go all in and be married to medicine. And I don't know. I know that there are so many amazing people that can do both. They're physicians, they're moms, they're wives, they do it all. But I think I just knew myself and wanted to be a mom and a wife one day. And I think knowing what I know now, but back then, was maybe I knew that I wanted more connection with patients than being a physician would be able to provide. Because physicians don't have the time that us nurses do with our patients. And I think my soul just knew that's what was going to be rewarding for me, was the connection and that time that I could spend with patients and their families, and to kind of explore all the parts of their care, not just their physical parts. And so I switched into nursing and never looked back, never regretted it. It's been a ride. It's definitely been connecting. It's taught me so much about that.
It's funny because some of our story kind of parallel each other because I too started out with the idea I was going to become a physician.
Oh,
Had that in my mind. That's exactly what I wanted to do until about my senior year. I had taken a biology major, and I'd taken some time we had to do this capstone project. So I spent 2 weeks with my cousin who was a very prominent OBGYN in
okay.
Arkansas.
Okay.
And with that experience of seeing him have the practice, be on call, he's delivering
Yes.
babies. They're
Yes.
waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they weren't actually in labor, which really let me know right then and there, L&D was not going to be for me. Okay.
Yes.
You wake me up, you better be having a baby. Okay. And I saw he had all the toys, but never got to play with them. We went up, he had a plane, we went up in the plane, he let me, fly the plane a little bit and all this stuff, we're just having a good time. We're up in the plane for about an hour. Oh, we got to come back down. Someone's having a baby. Oh, we went to do some shooting at the range. He's teaching me how to shoot.
Yeah.
And we're there for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Oh, we got to go. Somebody's having a baby. And I'm like, I don't want that life.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to always be away from people. And then I realized that they were just sucking the fun out of it. It wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I gravitated toward nursing, because the fun part for me, like you said, is getting that connection with the patient that you don't necessarily get when you're a physician.
Right.
And the nurse's brain is very different.
Very, very.
The nurse's brain asks why.
Mm-hmm.
The physician brain asks what.
Yes.
The nurse's brain says why. Why are you like this?
Yes.
How did you come here?
Yes.
What made you get to where you are today? And what can we help you change so you don't find yourself back here tomorrow?
Yes.
That's how nurses think.
That's right. It's the art of nursing. It's an art.
Yeah. Yes. And so when you made that shift to nursing now, that I don't know, I can't remember, but did Oral Roberts have a nursing program for you to switch into?
Oh, yes. An amazing, the Anna Von School of Nursing. Yeah, very strong. They're known for their nurses. And it was a tough program. I thought pre-med was tough, and it was. But man, that nursing program was a big weed out program.
Yeah, they do the, look to your left, look to your right, because the person next to you won't be there. Yeah, that happens. Right. It does.
That's right. But I made it through, thank God. I made it through.
Well, when you have classmates that can't pass fundamentals like bed making and taking vital signs, and they're gone. We had someone who switched. She was so overwhelmed with nursing school. She changed. She dropped out for a year, had to go to therapy, and came back and became a social worker.
Wow. Well, then you know.
Yeah.
Then you know.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
Should be a nurse.
If you're not a nurse and you're listening to this podcast, please let me tell you, it's not an easy road. And for nurses that, I want to say, potential nursing students that think that they're just going to go in there and it's just, it's a whole different animal. When, because of how rigorous your program is, you get out of things that everybody else has to do. Like I remember, because our clinicals would often clash with chapel, we got excused from chapel.
Yes.
It was like, oh, you're a nursing student, never mind.
Yeah. That's a big deal at a Christian university.
It is. Oh, you can't be in this student club meeting? Okay, we understand. Okay.
You're a nursing student.
You're a nursing student. Never mind, And you don't really have a life during that time when you're in school. Now, afterwards, yes, there's things you can do. You can, all this. But when you're in nursing school, I want our listeners, particularly those that are thinking of nursing school or in nursing school, just know that once you're done, it does get better. Yeah. And Yes, and there are some of us that go back and do it again, called graduate school.
Crazy.
Yeah, and don't learn from the first time and become a double major because they can't make a decision about their life. Yeah. That's me. Yeah.
So many of us.
Because, as nurses, we're intuitively curious, right?
Yes.
We want to learn more and figure out how things work and why is it this way. And so that's what makes us great. That's actually our superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to know, what was your first nursing job out of school?
So I was in Tulsa still, and I went to St. Francis Hospital, and there was a med surge, it was half urology, half med surge. So it was kind of a blended floor. And so I started there, and I learned all about time management and being a baby nurse. And there was amazing nurses there that were willing to teach me and had patience. So I did that. And then they kind of introduced a little bit of like a trauma step down part to that floor. So that was really interesting to me. I liked the more intensive patients. But I was only on that floor for less than a year. Because I woke up one morning. I just do this. It's like my sophomore year in chapel. Like, I woke up one morning. I was like, I can't wake up to the same job every day. I can't work with the same people. I was a military brat. My dad was in for 26 years. So I don't know if it was that in me or what, but I found myself at the Air Force recruiter's office. I swore to my parents and all my friends and family, I would never join the military, never, because I was a brat. And so I knew that life, and it's not an easy life. But there I was signing up for the Air Force, becoming a nurse. And so I joined and went to commissioned officer training in Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. And then my first duty station was in Biloxi, Mississippi at Keesler Air Force Base. So that's where I started I was a baby nurse as a baby lieutenant. And so I started there. And then I was on a med surge floor there because most nurses would start on a med surge floor. But I really wanted to get into the ICU. And so you kind of have to wait, you kind of have to prove yourself. And then I was tapped for the ICU, and I was super excited. So I got to go to the ICU, and it was a medical ICU, surgical ICU, and then CV ICU. It was kind of all in that on the same floor. So we rotated in and out. I learned so much, and that didn't happen to be enough for me. I found out about a program called CCAT, and that's called Critical Care Air Transport Team. Mm-hmm. And it was developed to have teams of an intensivist doctor, like a pulmonologist, and then a critical care nurse, and then a respiratory therapist. And the three of us would be geared up to be able to set up mini ICUs in opportune aircraft. So whatever a military aircraft was available, so we could take the ICU level of care closer to the front lines. So that was kind of like just a program in an idea, because we hadn't been at a wartime situation when that program had started. And so I got trained for it, got to be a CCAT person. And at that time, during peacetime, this was before 9/11, we just did kind of domestic transports of people from one ICU to another. And so that's kind of how we practiced and trained. Then 9/11 happened. So that program went live, and I was deployed as a CCAT nurse, and spent some time in Afghanistan and Turkey and Uzbekistan. And it was wild. It was wild.
I believe it. Now, during that time, I was working in psych, and I ended up on the Red Cross team to New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it was an intense time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what you've seen, because what I saw was enough for me.
Yeah.
But so I'm just curious, what was your family reaction when you told them you joined the Air Force?
My parents. First of all, my father was grateful that at least it was the Air Force because he did not want me. I mean, he was an Air Force guy. And so he's like, don't ever join another branch of service. And I was comfortable with the Air Force. So naturally, that's where I went. But he was also grateful that I was going in as an officer because he was enlisted for his career in the Air Force. But they were so frustrated because my senior year in high school, I was offered a scholarship by the Navy to go into ROTC, so to any state school that had an ROTC program, and they would give me a nursing degree paid for. And I was like, first of all, I'm never going to be a nurse and I'm never going to join the military. So no, thank you. And so they're like, are you serious? You're joining the military and you're a nurse now. Like, and we pay for private Christian education. What are you doing? So they were shocked, but I know we're military family, so they're very proud. And at that time, it was a good time to be in the military. There wasn't a lot going on, as far as wars. And so I did get deployed to like Saudi Arabia for Operation Northern Watch, but it wasn't a crazy deployment or mission. But then when September 11th happened, that's kind of like, oh, that's what it's really about, this preparing for this kind of situation. But God got us through. We got through.
What's interesting is that when I think about 9/11 and what happened, pre 9/11 and then post 9/11,
yes,
right? And how the world changed. We hadn't experienced that level of an event until COVID.
Yes.
And the world changed again and never moved back to what it was before.
That's right. That's right.
And, going through the pandemic, for nurses, I've had them describe it as a war zone.
Yes.
Because people, people just come in, you were dying. I was back in psychiatry, not in long-term care. I think that was divine that I wasn't in long-term care at that time, but I was back in psychiatry. And my job was to keep people out of the hospital as much as I could and help people through the transition. So while everybody, when the COVID started to go down, and things were getting better, we had the vaccine and everything.
Yes.
For the people in the hospital, the acute care hospital, things were looking up. But for us on the mental health side, things were still crappy. Because now the world's opening back up and I've got to deal with more anxiety and depression and people not wanting. I'm just talking about the staff. I'm not talking about the patients.
Right.
Because I remember after being at home for 2 years, suddenly I had to go back into an office and talk to people. And that was the weird thing.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, don't come too close and great to see you, but you're not on a little tiny screen. It took us a while to get reacclimated. And now we're waiting for the next shoe to drop. I've got so many people that are terrified right now and with what's going on in our country with the economy and politics. And yes, I'm going to say it, ICE.
Yes.
That I'm seeing, it's like, what I'm getting at is that we have, as a nation, suffered a lot of trauma.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's happened over and over. I remember when Columbine happened. These are all those big traumatic events that shifted how we act as a society.
That's right.
I remember when they bombed the government building. What was it? Which building?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. I was working in the nursing home as a CNA at that time when I was, trying to decide what I want to do with my life. And one of my patients was from the VA. He was a veteran. He had schizophrenia. And he believed that he caused that to happen with the power of his mind. He watched it on TV unfold, and we ended up having to ship him out to the VA, and then we couldn't bring him back because he also got very violent at that time. And so I've had a chance to work with a lot of veterans in a lot
Mm.
of different capacities. And I should have said this earlier, but I will say this: thank you for your service.
Oh, it's
Um,
an honor.
and I should say twice because you're a nurse. When during the pandemic, my family's been in the military. I have cousins that were, in the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. My dad was in the Army. So as a nurse, that had never happened to me until the pandemic.
Mm.
And I had someone come up to me and said, "Thank you for your service." And I'm like, I
Yes.
am not in the military.
Yes, you are.
And I'm like, I've been in the Red Cross. I was the only Red Cross nurse in my county. I
Yeah.
was the Red Cross nurse in the county. That
Oh
was
my
military.
gosh.
I've dealt with disasters nationally and domestic, small interstate disasters, family fires, and things like that. But that was the first time anybody ever said that to me.
Wow.
And I thought, holy crap, we're in for it. Because for number one, it was like, as a nurse, it was like, you see me? You actually see me as a
Yes.
nurse?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so for you to serve in that way and to be there in that way, I applaud you because there's not a lot of nurses um, that do serve. I mean, there are, but you know what I'm saying, that
Sure.
to that capacity. And for me, I think that you're almost doubly blessed because first of all, you get to be a nurse, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But you also were able to serve our country. And so I appreciate you. And I
Oh,
know you've seen some things. And like I said, having worked with a lot of military people, I know there's things you can't talk about, right?
yeah.
Still. So I get all that, right? But what was it like because there's so many nurses that do either want to join the military or
Mhm.
want to travel. What was it like to be a nurse in a different country?
It was like there's two sides to it. As a nurse in the military, and mostly Middle East for me, I was in the Middle East. Um, from our troops, there was this great appreciation and respect for our presence there because they knew that if they needed us, they were going to need us, and that we were responsible for getting them home safely back to their people. So that was comforting for me as a nurse because it felt like when we landed in Afghanistan, our little team, we did not pay attention during the classes where we were supposed to learn how to build tents. Like we didn't pay attention in that field training. We were just like, oh, we're medical, it'll be fine. So when they hand us a tent and we're like, we don't know what to do. The Army guys came and helped us because they knew what our role was there, and they appreciated us being there to help them and their fellow soldiers get back home. And so that I really appreciated, and it was a blessing to have that support. The other side of that that I felt was more challenging was being a woman in the Middle East, an officer woman in the Middle East, and providing care to Taliban. Um, our military does provide medical care to the enemy, and we treat them humanely. And we had these little Geneva Convention cards that people laugh at now because they're like, what does that mean anymore? Is that if I get captured, that they're going to treat me with respect? Probably not. Probably not. But as far as what I saw and what I experienced when we cared for the enemy, I treated them like a patient. And so that was difficult, though, because they did not see me in the same way. They did not respect, who I was or me being a woman. Also, on the American side or the military side, being a woman on a base full of men, because 9/11 just happened. So it was just really raw. Like there were just bathrooms put up here and there, wherever, it wasn't a structured base. It was just kind of bombed out old Russian base that we moved into. And so being a female, it was really challenging because we were definitely the very tiny minority. So even things like bathrooms or showers. We had between 0900 and 0930 to shower. And there was probably 50 of us females at the time on a huge base. And so getting 50 women to shower in 30 minutes was really difficult.
I'm telling you, yeah.
It was difficult. And so our little group got to know the Spanish. The Spanish were there for humanitarian reasons. They weren't combat, but they were there for humanitarian missions. And so we got to know them, and we like traded MREs and tasted each other's MREs, and theirs were a lot better than ours. MREs are meals ready to eat in the little bags. Mm-hmm. But they had a shower system. And so they offered for us women, because we were saying, gosh, we only have 30 minutes. There's 50 of us trying to take showers. And they're like, oh, come shower when our women shower. And so we went, and it was this amazing tent where it was like a car wash.
Oh, wow.
At the beginning, and we would all derobe at the beginning, and then we would walk through, and they'd had these water jets that they made. It's something they made. And so we kind of went through like a car wash, and at the end we were clean. And so we were so grateful. We didn't have to fight for a stream of water to take a shower. So there were some challenges, being female, being an officer, that in the Middle East it's not, recognized, it's not respected. And so there were things that we had to do to work around that. And we really relied on our male counterparts, who were so amazing. As a team, we all worked together really well. I was very, very blessed to be on an amazing team of people. So we all kind of helped each other get through.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's, what, and listen, only on this show will you hear stories like this, right? Because that's the way I'm curious about things like, hey, how is it, so yeah. We're going to get to entrepreneurship in just a moment, but I'm really interested in nurses telling their stories, because a lot of times we don't get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
I want to hear your stories.
Yeah.
And then I think about, all the different things that could have gone wrong and didn't. And I just think that's wonderful. And this brings me back to my thought that I was having as you were talking about how we treat people as patients, whoever, even though you're the enemy. Right. I think that's what's happening here. And again, I don't get very political on this show.
Yes. Yes.
But I think about Nurse Alex. Okay. And I think about the fact that people don't understand that our code of ethics is in us to such that we're going to try to help people. That's what we do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so does it matter if you're here legally or illegally? You're a person in need of medical care, and we're going to tend to your needs.
Yes.
And so I think that people need to understand that, because we can't do what we do if the people that are supposed to be there to protect us and help us to do that are at odds against us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've seen where it just seems like there's been an attack on nurses and nursing in the last few years, where you had a nurse that gets threatened by a sheriff because she didn't draw this man's blood when he asked her, but he didn't have a court order. And her legal counsel from the hospital and her supervisors were telling her, you can't do it, but he's trying to arrest her. You have, yes, that happens. That was even pre all this ICE stuff. This is like a while ago. And so there's this disconnect in what we are taught to do as providers, as nurses, and what is expected through law enforcement and sometimes even other agencies, and they don't understand what we do as nurses. And this is why it's important to get our stories out. Yes. Is because if you think what nurses do is what you see on Grey's Anatomy, and I'm not picking on them, but I am, where nurses are pretty much non-existent on that show. Yeah. Yeah, unless you're getting
except for the sex scenes,
yeah. Unless he's giving the doctor syphilis, there's no role for the nurse. on the show. I'm sorry, Shonda, love you, but I'm telling you, I've been saying this for years. But I say that to say, and I appreciate shows like The Pit that at least show nurses
Oh yeah.
there.
Yeah. That's a great show. Yeah.
It is a great show. I couldn't get past the first season, but that was a whole other story. I can't watch that, and because then I start dreaming about work, and I was, oh my gosh, I had a whole 8-hour shift in my dreams where I was trying to find.
Oh my God, you're like, I'm exhausted.
And then I had to go to work, and I was so mad. And I didn't even get paid for this.
Nursing problems. Hashtag nursing problems.
Yes. I didn't even get paid for that shift. I was like, nah. But anyway, so I want to hear our stories because it's so important, and I want other nurses to hear that, one, hey, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And two, this is what the real is going to be. So you don't go in it with this whole idea it's going to be great and wonderful. I mean, who would have thought that, I knew I was going to be sent to get called in. I knew that I was going to get activated when 9/11 happened. Immediately when it happened, I thought, crap, I'm going to get activated, right? Yes. So I told my boss, hey, this might happen. 24 hours later, I get the call. You're activated. You're going to go to the Pentagon. Okay. I was supposed to go to the Pentagon. Something happened. They said, nope, we're going to reroute you. You're going to New York. I did not expect to drop down in New York at LaGuardia at midnight with the phone number that says, call this number when you land. That's
girl, you were in the military. That is the military.
That's all I had. So I'm like, I think I'm a spy, because here we got you've got the National Guard with their rifles in the airport. Yeah. I'm at this bank of phones going, hello, I'm supposed to call this number, and they're like, this is where you're going to go and get on this bus and tell no one for security people.
Oh my word.
And then come here at 0800 hours to get debriefed.
Wow.
The Red Cross was built on the military system. So
yes. Yes.
So I'm like, okay. And then we'll tell you your assignment and where you're going to be. And I kept getting moved around. It's a whole big thing. I kept getting moved around. So my assignment would change at the moment of the hat. And so my last week, I was like, I had great times there. Even in the midst of all that, I had fun. I met some people, some wonderful people. Had some really sad times too. But I just remember we got a bomb threat my last week there. They found out where we were. And so we got a bomb threat. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Wow.
I'm like, security was so tight. And, you had to be careful about having your badge out. I mean, it's all the stuff that we kind of do on a smaller level in psych and in home care, for safety precautions, all that kind of stuff. But this is really heightened. And it was a very interesting time to be in New York. Let's just put it that way.
For sure.
In Manhattan. I was in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Lincoln Center. That's where I was on the island. And and it's like, I had to learn really quick how to navigate subways and taxis. I'm from the Midwest. So yeah, it was quite an interesting time. So wow. I only have just a little bit of what you experienced.
Yeah.
Because you went to whole other countries, and I almost did the flight team. Almost. To do international plane crashes.
What?
So I almost went on that team to do that. Yeah. Wow. I was preparing to do all that, and then some life stuff happened after 9/11 and all that stuff. And I went to grad school, and that kind of like took everything.
Yes.
I could do anything for grad school after that.
Yes.
I could barely work. That was an insane time. But yeah, so that was my experience at 9/11, and it was like a week after the incident. I was on the ground. Week after, I'm in New York.
Oh my gosh!
My first assignment was at the pier.
Well, thank you for being there and for being a helper.
Yeah. So I was like, this is a far cry from just going to people's houses that get blown over by tornadoes and burnt by fires. I've got firefighters coming in covered in soot.
Yes. Yes.
You know, people that taxi cab drivers that I'm doing therapy with
Mm.
in the cab because they found out I'm from the Red Cross and I'm a nurse, and people always tell me their life story. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I had to comfort somebody who lost somebody in
Mm.
the because she's like, but she was a Christian, and why was she killed and I'm alive and I'm not a Christian, and
Mm.
you know all this stuff, and it's
My
like,
goodness.
you know, and these are things that you deal with when you're in nursing, right?
Yes.
People find out you're a nurse. They're like, look at this
Yeah.
area. Is this something? Should I go to the doctor? Yes.
With the advent of FaceTime, I mean,
Oh,
look at this here.
uh-huh.
It's like, I should probably see it in person, or maybe you should just go to the doctor.
Look, you know, you live several states away, but
Yeah.
your eye is bulging out of your socket. Please go see a
Go see
doctor.
someone about that.
Yeah, you've got some angioedema. That could be very, you know, bad. Let's go get seen. I don't know what medicine you're taking that's
Yeah,
causing that.
exactly.
That's bad. You know, I get that all the time. I get that all the time
Oh,
from my
God.
family. It's like, and it's worse as a
Because our
nurse.
access to healthcare is not good. So they call their nurse friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I think my kid broke their ankle. Should I
Yeah.
take it to the doctor? Yes. I don't have a cast. I don't have an X-ray. Why are you bringing them to me? Oh my goodness, it's so funny. There's this lady at church, and she was going into labor. My specialty is geriatrics. Keep that in mind. Okay, I told you about my L&D experience.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
they're like, well, Tina's a nurse practitioner. Yeah, for old people, I haven't delivered a baby in years. What are you doing? I love my midwifery friends, but I'm like, I found it boring.
Yes.
And so they're like, help her with this. And I'm like, I'm like,
Oh,
please, ma'am, don't
goodness.
have this baby here.
Oh,
I was like,
please.
isn't the
Please.
pastor an EMT? He's got more experience than I do. I was like, and you're early? Oh my
Well,
gosh.
that's terrifying. I would be terrified.
What are you doing to me?
Oh, wow. Wow.
My patients are 65 and up.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable with that.
I'm talking about death and dying, not about
Yeah.
birth.
That's right.
I worked hospice. I'm like, come on.
Oh.
Wrong end of the spectrum. But
Yeah.
everybody in your family, once they know you're you know, in the healthcare field, you're automatically tagged no matter what.
That's
My
right.
husband's bad about that. My wife's a nurse. It's like,
Yep.
telling them that I want them to
Yep.
talk to me like a
Yeah.
patient so I can understand what the doctor's talking about. Quit telling
Yep.
him stuff. Because then they're
Yep.
going to assume I know.
Yes. It's so true.
I'm like, no, I want to get the real. But anyway,
Mhm.
so let's get to what brought you into entrepreneurship. What made you become an entrepreneur? We're going to get to that because I can talk about this stuff all day, and you and I can talk all day.
We could. So, military, I got out in 2003 after my deployments because my husband and I want to have kids. And I watched too many of my friends get deployed and leave their kids, and it was heartbreaking. And I didn't want to do that. So I did separate. And I worked in some civilian ICUs a little bit here and there, but I felt burnt out of that high adrenaline type of scene. And I think, being deployed, it was just a lot. So I was like, okay, I need to find another type of job. Through a series of events that I did not plan, God knows better than me, I fell into hospice like you did. And I didn't think I would like it. I didn't think I'd be good at it, but I went to an interview to practice interviewing skills because after in the military, you don't interview for jobs, you're assigned to jobs.
Yeah.
And so I had never interviewed for a nursing job. So I just started practicing at interviews. And I was very honest and said, I know this is a hospice nursing interview, but I've never done it. I don't think I'd be good at it, but I just need interview practice. But she talked me into it. She said, I think you'd be great. And I did it for, I think, 12 years. And I got my master's degree through the GI Bill. I did go back and get my master's degree. And so then I became a nurse manager in hospice. And I loved that. It was really amazing to take care of the nurses. And then in 2019, I suffered 2 separate brain injuries, and they were 6 months apart. And I thought they were just going to be one of those things where it's like a concussion. One was a fall and one was a car accident. And I thought, oh, I'll just do what the doctors and the team, there was a brain rehab team. I'll do that, the concussion protocol. And I was not getting better. I was doing everything they were asking me to do. Nothing was making me feel better. The brain injury was taking a toll. And then in 2020, it was time for my nursing license to be renewed. And I couldn't answer those questions where it said, can you provide care safely? Is there anything in your life that would prevent you from providing care safely? And I knew I couldn't. And I would never want to put someone's safety at risk. And I knew cognitively I couldn't do it anymore. And I had vestibular issues. It was just awful. I thought I knew about brain injury as a nurse. I didn't know anything about it. Becoming a patient and having to rehab, I knew nothing. And so I had to retire my license. And it's so strange because after 25 years of being a nurse, and that's our identity, it's who we are, it's what we do, to retire your license, and you just get this email that says, license retired. Like, not thank you so much for your 25 years of being there's nothing. It's just, okay, you're not a nurse anymore, although once a nurse, always a nurse. Like, you can't take that out of someone.
You're never going to give it up. It's there.
No, I might not have a license to practice nursing, but at heart, I will always be a nurse. And so I kept rehabbing my brain, trying to figure out what am I going to do. And, in the process, fell into anxiety and depression. And it's like my brain was disconnected from my body. And it was awful. So my doctor started saying, the injuries are in the left side of your brain mostly. You've got to get into the right side of your brain and fire that up so that we can start making some connections and help that left side heal. And I thought, okay, what does that look like? And they said, creativity, mindfulness, meditation. And I thought, no, I don't do any of that. I'm not creative. I'm not mindful. I don't even know what that means. And meditating, I pray, but I don't think I do any of that. And so he's like, just get a coloring book, like an adult coloring book, and just start there. And I hated it. I hated every second of the coloring book, and I ripped it up. And I thought, I'm a very non-compliant patient. I'm never going to get better. And I just happened to be watching YouTube one day, and I saw an artist on there who was painting abstract on big canvases. And it's like I immediately understood that she was not painting landscapes or people or dogs. She was painting her feelings. And so that lit something up in me because I had a lot of feelings. And so I went to the canvas. Oh, no, I didn't go to a canvas. My dad had just bought a TV, like those big screen TVs. So I cut the side out of it, the cardboard. And I used that as a canvas and just got my kids' tempera paints out from school and just started throwing paint because I don't know how to paint anything, but I just started smearing paint around on this and it just lit me up. Something lit me up. And so long story short, I just kept doing that. And then people were asking if I would sell that. And I thought that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard because this is my therapy on canvas. It's not very good. I'm not trained. I'm not, I'm not an artist. But I became an artist and now I own Carandanis Fine Art. And I can't believe I'm an entrepreneur. Like that was never in the cards. Like I never thought I would become an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about starting a business. But I watched a lot of YouTube and learned. And so now running this art business has been crazy. It's so different from anything I'd ever done in my life. And now it feels like it's like a hand in a glove. Like I finally feel like I'm doing what I was meant to do. And I never do it. my whole life. I never knew that I was supposed to be in the creative world. But it's a great place for me to land my stories and land my emotions. And I think that resonates with people because people want that humanity back. They want that human touch and that high touch experience. So I think that's what resonates with my art.
You know what, though? I think we're, as nurses, we are creative. We just don't recognize it.
It's true. It's
We
true.
don't recognize our creativity and the things that we can do. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about how as there's a patient that had this really horrible wound on their backside, and they
Mm.
had to put on the wound vac,
Yes.
and it's in areas that are very hard to attach a wound. And I said, "There's no way you're going to get a seal on this."
We'll figure it out.
She said, "Oh yes, I will." It took her an hour. I was fascinated. I was there in there helping her, just holding up a leg.
Yeah.
She got that thing it was like a snake.
Yes.
Beautiful. And it
Yes.
got it to attach. We are creative. It
Yeah.
just shows up in different ways for us.
That's right.
So you're
That's
able to tap into that portion of your brain, figure out how
Mhm.
to start a business without
Yeah.
realizing you're starting a business.
To start a
And
business
then,
with a brain injury.
yes.
So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, and I'm looking, is that your artwork behind you?
It is. It is.
Oh,
Some
that's
things
so
I'm working
wonderful.
on.
Okay. So do you in your shop, do you like have like a online gallery that we can put a
Yeah.
link to
So
for
it's
sure?
carandanisfineart.com. That's where my website is. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. I just post kind of I don't teach art. I don't do that because I'm just learning myself. But on my YouTube channels, I just share my stories about how these art pieces come about, my thoughts. It's all still about connecting.
Mhm.
That's what it's all about. And I learned that art is hugely connecting. I didn't know that. I just thought art was for like the bougie people that had money and they just liked the color of something and bought it. But there's such depth and humanity in the arts, whether it's music or painting or sculpture or the theater. It's what, think about 9/11 or COVID. When
Mhm.
that happened and everyone was in their house, they turned to creativity.
Yes.
All these YouTubes with creativity just spiked because people are like, I'm home. I need something to calm this anxiety down. Creativity, it's healing. It helped me heal my brain injury. It helped me heal my anxiety and depression. And so now I go and do seminars for people teaching about healing and creativity. And so it's like, gosh, I might have laid down my stethoscope, but I picked up the paintbrush and I'm still doing the same thing.
Precisely. And this is what I'm saying. You don't have to leave your profession. You're still a nurse doing nursing things and just in a different way.
Yes.
And learning how to engage someone and heal through art is so important. One of the things I do with a lot of my clients is I do aromatherapy, and I also
Mm,
use music as a
yeah.
way to change their outlook. I'm like,
Yes.
let's change your situation here. Let's change your vibrational energy, because
So powerful.
you're surrounded by these dark things. The first thing I asked was, what are you watching on television? What are you
Mhm,
scrolling on your phone? And
mhm,
if
mhm.
everything you're watching is the news or whatever else, we got to change that. I
Yeah.
learned that from 9/11.
Mhm.
I had one of my patients when I was on the we call it the CCU, just the crisis something team. Basically, it was me as a physical health and mental health worker and family services. We went out
Okay,
to people in the community that were affected by 9/11.
okay,
And so there was this woman whose husband, he was very depressed. He worked in the World Trade Center. He was late to work. All his friends died. He survived, but he had to walk home to Long Island across the bridge by himself.
oh,
Um, then the wife was there, very, very pregnant, about 7 months pregnant. And they had the daughter. The daughter was like 5 years old and with hives, because there's so much tension in this whole family. And she's watching CNN
Oh,
24 hours a day because she
mm.
said, I haven't cried yet.
Wow.
And I said, turn off CNN.
Yes. Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
I said, you will grieve when you're ready, but
Yeah.
this is not healthy. And
No.
of course, the daughter's anxious, the mom's anxious, the father's depressed, won't get out of bed. He'd been in bed for 2 weeks because,
Oh,
again, all his friends died, right? And so I tell people, make that your environment a
yeah.
healing environment for you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
making that environment a healing environment, teaching others to do that. So I applaud you for that.
Mm. I didn't know anything about it. I fell into it. It's like if we just follow life, like the next opportunities will present themselves and help us go on the journey that we're supposed to be on. And so I know I've heard you in your previous podcast talk about that, like being open to those
Mhm.
opportunities, and especially as a nurse, because the nursing, world is huge. There's so many different types of nursing.
Yes.
And you don't think, oh, I'll ever do this type of nursing. But if you just stay open to those possibilities and those networking opportunities, someone knows someone and they tell you, like, I didn't think I'd be a hospice nurse ever. I never thought I'd be a flight nurse, like really a flight nurse. But the opportunities came. And if we're brave enough to say yes to those opportunities, it's a great journey. And so that continued into art for me. I just said yes, even though I had no idea what I was doing. None.
You know what? I never thought I'd be a nurse podcaster. Didn't
Yes.
wasn't on my radar.
Yes.
Which makes sense because in school, in elementary school, I would get things from the teacher. Tina's a very good student, but she talks a lot.
Me too. Me too.
And then I took radio broadcasting in high school because I
Oh, you did.
ran out of things to take. So I took radio broadcasting
See,
and
it's like your soul knew. It's like something in you knew.
yes, was leading me to this path. Never thought I was going to be a nurse. Never thought I would go into broadcasting. Never thought I would own a business because that certainly wasn't what I wanted to do. I never thought any of those things would happen, right?
That's right.
But as you say, the opportunity presents itself and you've got a choice to either walk through that door
Yes.
or maybe miss something
That's
that
right.
could be great. And so I just started to say yes to things.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes to that.
Yes.
So as we begin to wrap up here, if you had a piece of advice for a budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
Whatever you choose to put your energy and your talents and your time towards, follow the line that is related to humanity. Don't follow the line to money or fame or whatever. Keep your focus. Try to, whatever you're offering to the world, whatever service you're offering, whatever products you're offering, put the humanity on it, especially now in the world, in our country, in our communities. Look for how your connection to humanity and spreading loving kindness and peace and compassion, those things, how you can infuse that into your business. Because I think if you even start your entrepreneurship journey with that in the foundation, nothing's going to stop you. Because like you said, the frequencies, the energy, it's going to flow. That's what makes it flow and grow, and for people to connect to it, because people aren't going to connect to your desire to be rich. Right. Who cares? Who cares?
Right.
But if you're connecting with, I want to help people, I've been through something, or I created something that can help people, that's what people connect to. And I think that's what's going to really open those doors too, because, it's like God just blesses that. In my way of understanding things, I think God is attracted to that,
Mm-hmm.
And so opportunities start to come and you meet the right people and the helpers start arriving, There's this Buddhist quote that I always just love, and it says, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears." And I'm forever a student, and teachers always are appearing in my life to teach me what the next step is, So it's not overwhelming. It's just like, okay, you got to learn how to apply for a business license. So I learned other artists starting businesses. And so those teachers did appear. And so I think most importantly is trying to focus and keep that thread of humanity in whatever business you get into.
That's so important and critical of remembering why you're doing what you're doing, not necessarily just for, if I find this, if you serve the people and you serve what your calling is, the money will come.
Absolutely.
The money will come. You don't have to worry about the money because you are being of value to what people need in the marketplace.
That's right.
So I think that's so important. So everybody, if you want to get a hold of her and you want to see more about her her artwork, I'll put in the show notes. She's got a YouTube channel, she's got Instagram, she's got Facebook. And give us your website again.
Carandanis Fine Art.
CarandanisFineArt.com. That'll all be in the show notes. I thank you so much for your time today. We can talk so much more. I definitely want to keep in touch, and I want to take a look at some of your artwork because art is one of the things that I love to do myself. I'm a musician, and all these different areas that if I wasn't going into medicine, I would have gone into acting or music. My dream was to be an opera singer.
Oh my gosh.
That was
never too late, Tina. It's never too late.
I've been trained professionally, and I've actually had a chance to sing some opera.
Oh my gosh, that's
not on the big stages, but when I went to 9/11, it wasn't always about the sad thing. And when I went to New York, I did get a chance to go to the Met.
Oh,
so I'm like, bucket list.
Yes.
I wasn't on stage, but I was very.
Well, I don't know. You tell me that your opera thing, and my body just got goosebumps. So. Never know.
Never know. Hey, I can have a second career, when I'm ready to hang up that.
Absolutely.
You never know. All right. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Nurse Shark Academy show. This has been a great episode and a fun time. Please, if you're listening to us and watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're listening to us wherever you get your podcasts and through Podbean, Apple, wherever, please leave us a like and a comment. We so appreciate this. Share this comment, this episode, and invite other nurses to join us to talk about nursing and entrepreneurship. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye for now. Ready to turn your nursing skills into a thriving business? At the Nurse Shark Academy, we give you expert strategies, real startup guidance, and the support to go from employee to empowered entrepreneur. Join us and build the nurse-owned business of your dreams. Start today and join us at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.